Let's start in a seat today. So easy pose, Sukhasana or any other easy seat that feels good, feels accessible. Grab whatever props you like to support yourself. All right, so starting to first just think about kind of bringing ourselves into the moment, bringing ourselves into our practice. As you begin to settle down into your seat, settle down into your connection, allowing yourself to be fully present for a moment at that connection point at your prop or your mat, starting to cultivate that sense of groundedness, rootedness, and then keeping that sense of gentle downward energy, beginning to imagine that lightness from the top of the head. So creating that gentle opposition in the spine. Taking a little shoulder roll up, back down, just letting the shoulders fully relax. And then softening the gaze, or if you like, closing the eyes. And first taking that moment to scan what is in your awareness outside of the body, bringing awareness back outside the self for a moment. What do you hear, sense, smell, feel inside or outside of your room or your house? And then inviting awareness back inside the body, checking in with what you feel or sense or maybe even hear inside yourself. Starting with the physical body, scanning through the soft tissues, joints, bones, breath. And then expanding awareness to your mental, emotional self. Gentle observation without judgment. What comes up for you here? Inviting awareness into the low belly, bringing specific awareness back to the sense of the breath, just with the physical sense of the breath for a moment, really fully observing the experience of your inhale, the experience of your exhale. Again, just a gentle observation without judgment. What do you notice in the quality of your breath this morning? And then perhaps with the hands resting where they are, or perhaps bringing the left hand to the low belly and the right hand to heart center. Begin that lengthening and deepening of your breath cycle. Expanding a little more fully with each inhale. Exhaling a little more slowly and completely with each out-breath. Intentional, deep, expansive inhale, filling the lungs, feeling the ribs draw outward in all directions. Slow, complete exhale. Staying here a few more breaths, or starting to bring in a little bit of breath retention. Taking that full expansive inhale, at the top, small pause, maybe a second, a couple seconds. Full, slow exhale. Maybe a brief pause at the bottom. If you're engaged in breath retention, gently letting that go, coming back to a few full, expansive inhales, slow exhales. And then allowing your body to settle back to just an easy but full, natural breathing rhythm. If we engage the hands, we'll go ahead and bring the hands down to a comfortable resting place. Blink the eyes fully open. And then start with some shoulder shrugs, shrugging shoulders up toward the ears, drawing them toward the space behind you, letting them slide down your back. Take a few slow, intentional shrugs that direction. And then pause and switch directions, shrugging the other way, drawing back, up, forward, down. And then letting the shoulders soften all the way away from the ears. And then imagine taking just one shoulder at a time. So shrug your right shoulder up, back, down. And as it falls, left shoulder starts to shrug up, back, down. So kind of like a little swimming movement for your shoulders. And then switching direction, still one shoulder at a time, swimming forward. And letting both shoulders fully soften all the way away from the ears. Take a big inhale, sweep the arms out really wide to your sides. Imagine really actively reaching all fingertips away from you, thinking about space in the fronts of the shoulders, space in the backs of the shoulders. And then take a little back bend, send those fingertips up overhead. Interlace the fingers overhead. Turn those palms to reach away from the crown of the head. Big stretch up toward the sky, and then take a little side bend to your right, keeping that left hip nice and anchored down. Lift back through center. Moving opposite direction, keeping the right hip down. Lifting center back to the right. Lifting center to the left. And then lifting center, unlace those fingers, sweep the arms down to the space in front of the shin, and we'll walk over to a nice rounded forward fold, walking or sliding the hands away, softening through the spine, heart melting down toward the space in front of the shins. And then beginning to create a little side-to-side movement, letting your belly draw a little more firmly into one thigh, and then the other. Starting to slow walk back up toward long spine, keeping that little side-to-side movement as you go. And then again, bringing the hands out nice and wide to the sides, thinking about stretching the front and the back. And then bring the hands up overhead. This time, leave about a shoulder distance between the palms, palms facing one another. And then twist to the left, float the hands down so they reach for or almost brush the floor. Twist back through center, lift the hands, twist opposite side, lower. Twist, center, lift. And moving once or twice more, finishing on that right side. And then again, coming back through the center, lifting the hands. Again, bringing the fingertips down toward the space in front of the shins. Take a moment, if you're in crossed legs or one leg in front of the other, switch your legs up before we go into the second forward fold. And then again, sliding or walking hands out, softening through the spine. Finding your way down and then creating a little side to side sway. And slow, making your way back up, hands coming in, torso lifts. Take the hands all the way around to the low back, interlace the fingers at the low back. Draw those interlaced fingers away from the body toward the earth behind the tailbone. And then take a few breaths here. Each inhale, imagine you're just reaching those arms a little further behind you or lifting the arms a little further from the spine. And then slowly drawing arms back in toward the spine, unlace the fingers. Let the arms dangle down beside the hips. Give the arms a little shake. And then we'll lean back a little, plug palms or fingertips into the earth behind the glutes. Bring your heels out wide, keep a bend into the knees. Slow windshield wiper the knees side to side. Next time your knees fall over to the left, let your knees draw over toward that left side and stay. Lift your left hand, sweep it across the front of the body, reach it toward the earth outside your right hip. So it's reaching in the same direction as where that right hand is. It might not get all the way there, but we're turning our belly and heart in the direction of that right hip. And then start to bring that hand back around, lift the knees, windshield wiper the legs another time or two. And then legs fall to the right, let them stay drawing over to that right side. Lift the right hand, bring it across the front of the body, reaching toward the earth outside the left hip, or maybe it comes down and finds the floor. And starting to lift that hand, sweeping it back around to its starting position, lifting the knees. Windshield wiper the legs another couple times, each direction. And then lift the knees, bring the heels together, tuck heels towards your glutes, change up your props and walk your way around to tabletop. Bring the knees a little bit wide on the mat, let toes point toward one another. Send the hips back toward the heels, find your wide knee child's pose. Activating the palms, lifting back up toward tabletop, but keeping the knees a little bit wide. And then making a circling motion as we move back toward child's pose. So imagine your navel's drawing a little ellipse over your mat. You'll pull your hips over to the left, draw hips back toward heels, roll across at the back of the mat. Wide knee child's pose, lifting up on the right, back toward tabletop, shoulders over wrists, drawing back, rolling across and lift. Next time you come to the top, take a little pause and then begin moving in the opposite direction. Hips pull over to the right, back toward the right heel. Roll across at the bottom and lift on the opposite side. And next time the hips come back, let yourself draw all the way back and rest back in that wide knee child's pose. Activating the palms, pressing back up toward tabletop. This time, bring the knees back in line with the hips. Root down through left shin and top of the foot. Slide your right foot back behind you. Lift the knee. Bring that right foot out to your right side. Point the toes toward the top of your mat. And finding a slow twisting flow here. Taking a full exhale to prepare. With an inhale, opening the heart to the right. Right hand floats. With an exhale, turning the heart to the floor, hand slides back to its starting position or reaches under left arm. Inhaling to twist open, exhaling to turn down. And taking one more inhale, lift yourself up. Use your exhale to plant that right hand back under the shoulder. And we'll lift up to a high kneel. So starting to walk hands in toward the left knee. Support yourself in whatever way feels best to lift torso all the way up. And then we'll make sure that that right ankle is pretty much in the same plane as our left knee. We'll bring the right hand palm face up on the right thigh. Send that left hand high, palm facing to the right. And start a slow slide into a side bend. Right hand sliding down toward right foot. Find that left side stretch. Lift yourself back to that starting position. Long spine, left fingertips reach. Sliding over to a side bend. Right hand sliding for foot. Lifting, neutral. Taking a few more here. Next time you lift back up, we'll stay there. Start to reach that left hand back down. Take the fingertips down toward the earth in front of your left knee. Hinge from the hips. Start to bring those hands down. Find your connection and then walk the hands back out. Shoulders align over the wrist. Take the right leg back behind you so it's in line with the hip. And then we'll lift the leg and point the toe. So not thinking too much about our pelvic alignment here, but just lift that right leg in whatever way feels good. Point the toe, and then with movement coming from your hip joint, take that right toe and start to draw some circles in the air. Switch directions. And let those toes come all the way back down to the earth. Bend that knee, bring it back down under the hip. Root down through that shin and top of the foot. Slide your left foot back behind you. Bring it all the way out to the left side. Flip the toes to point toward the top of your space. And with your next inhale, starting twisting flow, inhaling, opening to the left. Exhaling, turning down. Take one more inhale to open up. Exhale to find that hand under the shoulder for a moment. And then walking hands in toward the right knee, making your way up toward your high kneel, setting up for our flowing gate pose here. So left hand resting, palm face up on the thigh, right hand reaches, find a little bit of length, slide into that side bend, lifting and side bending. Next inhale, staying lifted. And then we'll start to bring that hand down. Bring fingertips down toward the earth in front of your right knee. Connect those hands, support yourself, walk the hands out. Wrists under shoulders, left foot comes back. Lift the leg, point the toe, and circles from the hip, one direction. Switch directions. And let that foot come all the way back down in line behind the knee and hip. Bring that knee down. We're back in our tabletop. And then we'll start to rotate the hands in toward one another, either letting your middle finger point toward the opposite front corner of your mat, or if it works for your wrists, bringing those hands even a little more, maybe even all the way to where your middle fingers point toward one another. So we want a little stretch in the wrists, but certainly no pain. And then we'll start to make some circles with the shoulders. So drawing heart over the left hand, softening heart down toward that hand, elbows draw out wide to the sides, rolling across at the bottom, hand is over the right. Heart is over the right. Press up, find just a little bit of an arched spine as you come across at the top. Lowering down, rolling across at the bottom, lifting up on the right. And next time you press up to the top, find that little pause, and then switch directions, heart over the right hand, lowering down, elbows draw wide, roll across at the bottom, heart over the left, press, lift, a little bit of arch to the back at the top. Next time you come to the top, pause, find neutral spine, bring hands back into their normal position. So wrist crease is about parallel to the top of the mat. Ground through the left hand for a moment, pick up the right and just give it a little shake. And then bring that hand down, find some support, pick up the left hand, give it a little shake. And bring that hand down, slide both hands a little forward of your shoulders, tuck the toes, float your tailbone, find your downward facing dog. And take a moment to slow pedal the feet here. Reaching one heel in the direction of the earth, other knee gently bends. Taking a few more times each side. Finding stillness, downward facing dog, imagining equal weight between all surfaces of both hands.
Ground through your left toes and ball of the foot. Slide your right leg back behind you for a three-leg dog or tail of the dog, letting the leg lift in whatever way feels good. So maybe hips are square, maybe hips are open a little bit, but we're gonna take that leg that's in the air, bend the knee, and then take the knee, again with movement coming from the hip joint, draw some big circles in the air. Switch directions. Find stillness. Bring that foot back down to meet the left. Slow pedal the feet, stretching one calf and then the other. And find stillness. Feel into that support. All surfaces of both hands, toes and ball of the right foot. Send your left leg back. Let it draw back in whatever way just comes naturally. Bend the knee, knee circles in the air. Switch directions. Extending that leg, bringing it down to meet the right. Slow pedal the feet. And finding stillness. And again, we'll send that right leg back for tail of the dog. This time we'll bring it forward for low lunge. So inhale, bring it all the way back behind you, and then start to bring it forward toward your hands. Use that right hand to support as needed. Finding ankle right under the knee. And we'll lower left knee, untuck the toe. And then if you didn't already, go ahead and bring your hands up overhead. And find your Anjaneyasana. If you want a little more stretch, you could let the hips sink a little lower and bring your right foot a little closer to the top of your mat. And then taking a little heart opening flow here, adding in our arms. So opening through the heart, stretching through the front body, bring your elbows back and down to cactus arms or goalpost arms. And then lifting yourself back toward neutral, reaching through the fingertips. Opening through the heart, elbows draw back and down. Lift, neutral fingertips, reach. Take a couple more here. And then next time you come back to neutral spine, fingertips reaching, we'll pause. And then bring the hands down onto the front thigh. Start to lift your hips, press into your right foot, straighten your knee. We're gonna stay long in the spine, keep the hands on the thigh, but imagine you're rocking your hips back like you would for a half split or half monkey. And then we'll come forward again, bending into that front knee, hips sinking low toward the earth, lifting the hips, pulling them back, hands resting on the thigh. Maybe there's just a little bit of a hinging forward. Rocking forward, hips sink, maybe heart opens a little bit this time. Lifting, hips pull back, right knee straight. Next time you come forward, we'll land in that low lunge or grounded lunge shape. Neutral spine. We'll step hands down to frame the front foot. And we're gonna tuck the back toe, lift the knee, and draw yourself all the way back through your three-leg dog or tail of the dog. So we tuck, lift, ground through fingertips or palms, and left foot. Slide that right leg all the way back. Take a moment to just feel it lengthen and stretch behind you. And then bring it down to meet your left. Slow pedal the feet. Find stillness. Left leg rises. Bring it forward. Find your grounded lunge, low lunge. And starting a gentle heart opening flow, adding in your cactus arms, goalpost arms here, stretching through the front body, elbows drop back and down. Lifting, neutral spine, fingertips reach. And finding neutral spine, letting those fingertips reach long for a moment. Hands come down onto the front thigh, press into that left foot, straighten the knee, lift the hips back, maybe a little bit of a hinge or a bowing forward. Rocking forward, left knee bends, maybe you add a little bit of heart opener, gazing high, lifting the hips. Rocking back again, as much of a bowing forward as you would like here. And finding that forward, backward motion. And letting yourself land back in low lunge. Knee aligned over the ankle. We'll bring fingertips down to frame the front foot. Tuck the right toe, lift the knee. Send that left leg all the way back. Tail the dog. Three-leg dog again. Just let it stretch back behind you for a moment, feeling a little bit of length. And foot comes all the way down to meet the right. Slow pedal the feet. And finding stillness, floating both knees all the way down onto the mat. Untuck the toes, tabletop. Take a deep inhale in tabletop. Exhale, round spine, drop the crown of the head and the tail. Find cat. Lower the belly, open the heart, lift the tail, lift the crown. And take a little flow here. As slow and stretchy as you would like it to be, or maybe it's a slightly faster movement. Finding one more each direction. And back to our foundation in tabletop. Slide the hands out a little forward of the shoulder. Tuck the toes, float the tail, downward facing dog. Take a moment, slow pedal the feet. Maybe figure eight the hips. Maybe find some movement in arms or hands. And then finding stillness. This time we'll lead first with the left leg, again making our way toward low lunge. Reaching that leg long behind you. Stepping it forward. Using the hand as you like. Bring ankle under knee. Lower the knee. Untuck the toe. Bring those hands up overhead. And then we'll take a little twisting flow here. So twisting your heart open to the left. Float the hands down toward the earth. Twisting back through center, lift the hands, and opposite direction. Lifting center, floating down, twist. Taking one more opening to the right, and then landing back in low lunge. And then we're going to bring our hands down inside our left foot. So bring both hands inside the left foot, tuck the right toe, lift the knee, start to walk your hands toward the center of your mat, bringing your right heel down, turning your left toes toward the long edge of your mat. We're moving toward wide leg forward fold. So as you make your way there, you may find one toe landed a little further forward than the other. So we'll level out those feet. Bring your right fingertips to the earth just in front of your gaze. Find a little bit of length in your spine, and then finding a twist here. Inhaling open to the left, left fingertips float. Turning heart down toward the floor, bring those left fingertips down, switch the places of your hands, opening opposite direction. Turning down, twisting left, turning down and twisting right. So again, tune into your rhythm here for a moment. It could be as slow and stretchy as you like, or it could be a slightly faster movement. Finding one or two more twists, finishing up, turning to that right side. And then allow the upper body to fully dangle down for a moment. Sweep the hands up onto the low back. Again, interlace the fingers at the low back. And then take a couple breaths just resting and dangling here. Or with each breath, imagine those arms draw a little further from your spine. Fingertips reach a little further from your crown. Starting to draw hands back in toward the spine. Unlace the fingers, bringing fingertips back down toward the earth in front of the gaze. We're going to start to walk hands over toward our left foot, making our way back toward a lunge. So we're going to rotate those left toes back to face the front, lift the right heel. Our hands are framing our left foot, and we'll draw the left leg back through tail of the dog, three-leg dog. And bring that foot down to meet the right. Slow pedal the feet. Wiggle the hips, move the arms. And finding stillness. Right leg rises. Bring it forward. Find your lunge. And then starting a nice slow, gentle twisting flow here. Opening your heart to the right, floating the hands down. Twisting center, lift. Moving side to side. Taking the arms with you. Flowing once or twice more, finishing on that left side. And then as you bring the hands down, we're going to bring them inside that right foot. Tuck the left toe, lift the knee. Walk hands toward the center of the mat. Left heel comes down, right toes turn toward the long edge of the mat. Take a moment to level out your feet. Wide leg forward fold. And again, keeping just a little bit of length in your spine if possible. And then we'll walk hands over toward your right side, deeply bending your right knee, but keeping the outer edge of the left foot connected. Lift yourself back through center, both knees straight. Walk hands to the left, deeply bend that left knee, outer edge of the right foot stays flat. Lifting, elongating through center, squatting or side lunge to one side. And again, really slow, controlled movement, if that's inviting, or
Could be a slightly faster movement. And next time you come through center, we'll pause in center. And then again, letting the upper body dangle, spine soften, hands sweep up onto that low back, and take a few breaths here. Maybe thinking about each breath, drawing the arms a little further from the body. Exhale, maybe a little more surrender, allowing that crown of the head to draw down toward the earth. Inhale, a little more open and stretch. And allowing those hands to draw back in toward the low back. Unlace the fingers, bring the hands back around in front of the gaze. Starting to walk hands over toward the right foot. We're gonna rotate those right toes to the top of the mat. Bring the hands to frame the foot. Lift the left heel. Bring that right leg all the way back through your tail of the dog. Bring it down. Slow pedal to the feet. And bring both knees all the way down onto the mat. Untuck the toes, tabletop. Slow, mindful, stretchy cat-cow. Or move a little more quickly. Taking one more each direction. Finding your tabletop, bringing the hands out, tuck the toes, float the tailbone, downward facing dog. Take a big bend into the knees, belly draws toward thighs, gaze comes forward, slow walk, deeply bent legs forward toward the top of your mat. Dangling down over the thighs, bring fingertips to opposite elbows. Create a little side to side sway. And then start a slow roll up towards standing. And then find a nice supportive mountain pose. We'll move into a balance, but we'll blend a little bit of mindful movement with our balance. So maybe have a block handy or be close to a wall. So start by taking a moment to notice the connection between soles of both feet. So just feeling yourself fully grounded or supported down. And then we'll move into a tree pose. So we're gonna bring weight to the left leg first. Lift that right heel, rotate that knee out to the side. Remember, we're stopping just before it starts to take the whole pelvis with it. And then we're letting those toes rest to the floor, just inside the ankle. We're letting those toes rest onto a block, or we're bringing sole of the foot to the calf, or sole of the foot to the inner thigh. But remember, we're gonna add a little movement. It's gonna challenge balance a little differently. So maybe a different version of tree than you might normally choose. So go ahead and really root ground down through your left foot. See if you can find a little more length to the back of the left leg, a little more length to the spine. And then bring both hands to heart center. And imagine the shoulders softening down just a little more lightness at the center of the top of the head. Take a full exhale. With an inhale, release your arms wide to the side, bring them overhead. With an exhale, palms meet and draw down through heart center. Shoulder circles in tree pose. Inhaling, opening wide. Adjust your feet as needed at any point, or let some fingers find some support on the wall and flow with one arm.
Go ahead and take one more breath. Allow those hands to come all the way back to heart center. And then bring the right knee back in line with the right hip. Bring that foot all the way back down to your mat. Scoot any props out of the way. Bring weight all the way over to that leg. Pick up the left leg. Give it a nice solid shake. And then if you're using a prop or you're on the wall, we'll go ahead and switch up our sides. First, feel into that connection in both feet. And then finding a little more support to the right, we begin to lift that left heel, externally rotating the hip, toes to the floor, toes to your block, sole of the foot to the calf, sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Press into that standing leg. Find your length, find your strength. Bringing the hands back to heart center if they're not still there. Full exhale, inhale, bringing those hands wide. Letting them meet overhead, drawing them down through heart center. So checking in with balance this side. Mixing up the feet, grabbing or losing a block. Opposite fingertips to the wall, flowing with opposite arm. Opening yourself up once more. Letting the hands settle back to heart center. Scooting block or props out of the way as needed. Bringing that foot all the way down firmly onto your mat. Bring weight to that side. Pick up opposite leg. Give it a nice little shake. And finding a nice firm foundation. Both feet. Inhale. Bring both hands up overhead. Exhale, dive over, forward fold. Soft knees, soft spine, bringing the fingertips back to opposite elbows. Notice which forearm is in front. Take a swaying side to side. And then draw those forearms over to your left side like they're trying to reach the floor outside your left foot. Back through center, reaching opposite direction. Back through center, switch your arms so your opposite forearm is in front, still fingertips to opposite elbows, and slow sway side to side. Letting those forearms draw over to the right side. Through center, over to the left. Through center, fully relaxing the knees, fully relaxing the spine. Release fingertips or palms down to the space in front of the feet or onto your blocks. We're gonna step the legs back, come right back into our tabletop, coming down onto the knees, untucking the toes, and a couple more times through cat and cow here. Really letting yourself feel into and enjoy the movement, the stretch, the sensation. And finding stillness in tabletop, we'll make our way through kneeling or seated to come all the way around onto our backs. So coming back to kneeling, hips over to one side, feet to the opposite, or heels cross, hips come back and pop over the feet. Either way, making our way down onto our backs and meeting with spine fully relaxed down onto the earth, knees bent, and soles of the feet on the mat. And then keep your left leg down. Lift your right ankle as if you're moving toward a figure 4 stretch. And so place that right ankle on the left thigh, and then lift those legs in just far enough that you can bring your right hand to your right knee and your left hand to your left knee. And then imagine you're gonna move the legs as one unit, and you're gonna circle the knees in the air. So these may be some pretty small circles, but we're getting a little bit of a circular movement or massage on parts of the low back, hips, glutes. And then pause and switch the direction of your circles. And coming back to stillness, bring the left sole of the foot back down to your mat. Unwind the right leg, bring the right sole of the foot down to meet it. Bring the palms face down on either side of the hips. Activate the palms, activate the feet. Take a big inhale. With your exhale, start to slow lift your spine up into a bridge. As you do, imagine you're lengthening that tailbone away from the rest of your spine. So your tailbone is pulling toward your calves, then pulling toward your knees. Find a breath at the top, maybe find a little smile. Slow, lower the spine back down. Right leg stays grounded, left leg lifts, ankle to thigh. Lift the legs in just enough. Left hand, left knee, right hand, right knee. Legs stay together, and we move the legs in some circles. Switch directions. Finding stillness. Release the hand, so right sole of the foot comes down, left sole of the foot comes to meet. Ground through the feet, palms face down on either side of the hips. Lift yourself up into another bridge. Imagine keeping that spine long. Find the top, really ground down through the connection of both feet. And then imagine both of your shoulder blades are gonna stay firmly planted. They're your connection point. Your head and face are soft. Keeping the shoulder blades rooted down, start to float the arms. Bring the fingertips up over your shoulders, fingertips pointing for the sky, and then let those arms reach overhead a little bit until your biceps frame your ears. Draw those arms back around, fingertips reaching for the sky. Bringing the arms down alongside the spine. Lifting them back toward the ceiling. And a little ways behind you, biceps frame the ears. Lift and lower just the arms. Lower body staying in our bridge. And then the next time the arms come down alongside the body, we'll let them pass the body and come all the way back down onto our mat, making sure those shoulder blades are activated, arms are activated, palms are activated. Slow lower spine, all the way back down. And then lifting both bent knees into the belly, and let those knees fall into some knee circles mirroring one another. So the knees fall wide, reach away from you, come together over the pelvis, draw up through center line. Switching directions. And then letting those knees draw all the way back into the belly. Taking that moment to check in with yourself, just observe, is there any last movement that would feel good to bring your practice to a close? or a stretch you like to end with, or maybe one last strengthening posture, honor, whatever it may be that comes up for you in the moment. Bringing your own practice to an end, to a close. And then making your way to whatever shape you would most enjoy for a moment of stillness. Allowing your whole body, whole self to fully relax and release all the soft tissues. Let go, joints and bones let go. Breath lets go. Maybe even your thoughts let go. And you try to allow the mind a moment to be empty. Or you could allow your mind to be fully present with the sense of your physical body resting on your surface, or with the sense of your breath coming and your breath going. Gently inviting your conscious awareness all the way out to the tips of your fingers and your toes. Inviting soft movement to fingers and toes, then to wrists and ankles. And then if it feels good, maybe sliding into a full body stretch. Bringing your legs long, bringing your arms overhead. And then starting to make your way back through a knees to chest pose, bringing those bent knees in toward your belly. Maybe letting those bent knees take you over to the fetal position, resting in fetal position for a moment. Maybe rolling the length of your spine, shoulders to tailbone. Eventually making your way up and meeting where we started. Easy seat. And then one more time here, rooting down through your sits bones, feeling your gently elongated spine, relaxed shoulders, long in the back of the neck, soft gaze. Cultivating that sense of observation once more.
checking in with your physical self at the end of your practice. Soft tissues, joints, bones, breath. Maybe checking in with your emotional or mental self. And then setting the intention for anything you'd like to take off of your mat and out into the rest of your day. Allowing eyes to fully open, bringing the hands overhead. Drawing your hands to heart center. Thank you, as always, for being here, sharing part of your day, sharing part of your practice.